Welcome to the Level Up Lounge, your place to achieve peak performance in business and health. I'm your co-host John. I'm an online exercise nutrition coach. I run my own coaching business, Bryant Coaching, and I focus on a personalised approach to getting you fit and healthy. And here's my co-host, Permjeet.
Hi John, thanks for that introduction. My name is Bryant and Kainth. I'm the founder of Diamond. I'm known as the Connection Guru. What I do is help your business get fully booked from a standing start, whether you've got a few clients or whether you're starting out for the first time, helping you build your clientele base with the products and services that you supply.
And now sit back, relax, and enjoy the latest episode. Well, welcome to another episode of the Level Up Lounge. Now, last week we talked about goal setting and how important it is to have some goals going forward. But this is January, as we're recording it, and with a lot of goals, people like to set New Year's resolutions. But by the second weekend, probably most of you have given up or are thinking about giving up. So this is going to be an episode on how to stay motivated. So before we get into that, let's welcome Permjeet, my co-host. Welcome, Permjeet. How you doing?
You're doing fantastic, doing great.
Cool. So let's talk about motivation. For yourself, Permjeet, what is motivation?
Motivation, where you start, last week we were talking about setting goals. It's all about keeping the motivation running so you can achieve those personal goals you set for this financial year in terms of either it's on a business level and personal level. It's all about getting up in the morning, knowing what you want to do, and it's all about thinking smart, not working hard.
Excellent. Now, what I find quite interesting, especially in the fitness industry, is people set their goals for losing weight, but by the second weekend, they found it difficult. Now, here's one thing that I think is really important when it comes to motivation, it's emotion. Because the bigger the why, the easier the how. Now, why is emotion so important? Well, let's break emotion down. If we take it down, E is energy, motion is movement. So emotion is energy in movement. So that's actually what we need when it comes to your goals. You've got to have the big enough why. It's got to be something which is going to be sort of challenging you, but also you've got to just feel like, right, this is what I really want. Because in life, we either have the carrot or the stick. Now, generally speaking, people will want to run away from fear, hurt, all these kind of things. So fear or pain is a much more of a powerful motivator. Now, when it comes to yourself, Pamjit, what do you feel is more important?
And me personally, I think it's because it's a passion of actually wanting to achieve what I'm doing and setting the goals at the end of the year, motivating myself in terms of what I want to do. But I also think about I think well people get less motivated because what they do is they create big goals for themselves, and that's where they start to get demotivated. They don't actually hit them. So what I do intend to do is tell people set smaller goals that are most achievable. And it's a passion that drives me in the morning when I get up in the morning and thinking about my family and what legacy I'm going to lead them actually motivates me. As going to yourself, like going to the gym, which I've got to start going again, and it's motivating to actually go carry on going to the gym. And I think that actually motivates me also in my goals as well, in my business or in my personal life. Because if you've got a lot of energy in the morning and you've got a lot of energy flowing through your body, you're going to reach your goals and it also motivates you. I think the biggest motivation I've got is actually now I've got a new little grandson, I'm thinking about him. But I'm also thinking leaving them a legacy where if I achieve my goals throughout this year, then I know I've accomplished what I want to do, and also they'll lead on to next year's goals as well. That's the thing that motivates me is my passion and my family, making sure I'm financially secure, making sure I can enjoy my life with my wife and my family, or my kids as well at the same time. That's what truly motivates me. But what I begin to realize is that I've personalized them to an actual smaller, achievable goal settings to get you to where you want to a lot more quicker than actually concentrate on the bigger goals as well at the same time.
That's an interesting one. Do you find though that it's all about being consistent as well? because you can set yourself for goals. You're not aiming to be perfect, but you have to be consistent.
That's true. Consistency is a very key thing in anything you do, whether it's in your personal life or in your business. If you're consistently doing the same thing over and over again, time and time again, yes, it becomes a mundane task, but if it's achieving you to get to your goal, then you're keeping you highly motivated, then you're going to be continuously being consistent. That doing certain things on certain days at certain times that you normally used to doing, connecting with other people, building relationships with people. That also motivates me as well, you see. That helps me set my goals because as you know me, John, you know me quite a number of years now, and I'm one of these people who like to build relationships with people and get to know them, not on a business level, but also on a personal level, which also motivates me a lot in what I actually want to do and why I want to help other people achieve what they're actually looking for.
Yeah, no, I can totally relate to that. And I think that's why we get on really well because we have that same
Mm.
mindset about building relationships with people, not just working with someone for the sake of getting some money.
That's very, very true. I think what it's also at the same time, people have got the fear of not achieving a goal and then that deflates them and then they start to procrastinate. What you've got to try and do is get over that fear of procrastination and ask people the question. Be direct with them, be straightforward with them. If you've got a product or service that's going to help them, that's going to even motivate you more. I think when you get new clients, I think that even motivates you even more because you're thinking you know that your system works in what you're doing, so it motivates you to take it to the next level. So, and also at the same time, the baby steps are always the best. And also, we work on month by month. Do 90-day call plans in what you're doing. This is another topic we'll be talking in another podcast.
Definitely. So I suppose in a way, we have the obviously outcome goal which can be motivated, but I think what people really lack is the process goals. I think that's a really key thing because let's just take the weight loss industry. Yeah, you may want to lose 3 stone, and that will probably motivate you in the short term, but actually, it's about the process goals along the way. You can't just go, right, I'm going to lose 3 stone and it's going to happen. You actually have to do some action taking and you have to change circumstances and habits that you're currently doing in order to achieve it. And I think it's really important to set smaller process goals. So it's more digestible, more manageable, so that you can actually go, right, by week 1 of this plan, I just start going to the gym. I start eating better. By week 4, I'm going regularly to the gym and it's consistent. You know, week 12 is like, right, I'm stepping up a little bit. It's that constant, right, what can I do next, which is going to get me one step closer to the goal, but also lays foundation for better habits going forward. Because if you have better habits, you'll achieve more. It's as simple as that, as far as I believe.
I think, yeah, it's very, very true. It's also taking small steps at the same time in what you're doing. Because I think what people do is, anyway, in the business life or the personal life, they seem to set themselves big goals. And then by week 4, they've not achieved anything and they're not made any inroads in there. And that deflates them. And then they get less motivated. And then they start changing their habits and what they're doing. Being consistent in what you do and reaching out to the right people in what you do and offering the service in what you do and also making those connections and making connections that are of value, even though the person in front of you may not be your ideal client, they may need someone else who may need your services. But if you also help them achieve what they're looking for and help them motivate them in their goals in making the right connections with them, that's another motivating skill that can work. And that will continue to happen time and time again. In terms of it, to keep yourself motivated, you know you've got to hit that step. Even if you don't hit that step, you don't let it deflate you. You have to continue going on and on. If you don't, then you're going to be less motivated by the end of the year, and then by the end of the year, you'll be thinking coming up to next year. What are your goals going to be for next year? They'll be the same as last year, unless you motivate yourself to actually change them to upset your goals for the following year.
Mm. Now you make some good points, but I suppose in a way, a lot of people will become demotivated along the way. It's a natural part of the process, I would say. So, have you ever experienced a time when you've been demotivated, and how did you overcome it?
I think the time is that when you get to a certain stage, I'll give you an example. Is that weight loss, where I got to the point where you plateau off of a certain weight and you want to lose it. You need to lose that extra bit of weight, but you can't shift it. At that point, you seem to get, well, what's the point of going to the gym anymore? What's the point of eating the right food? I think then to actually remotivate myself, what I've done is I've come off my program for a short period of time, did what I wanted to do with that short period of time, just to get myself remotivated and back into the river and going back to the gym again, taking a week out, taking a couple of weeks out there, thinking about what I'm actually doing, changing my strategy of what I'm doing, asking other personal trainers like yourself, what is the best way for me to lose weight and get more trimmer, and then also get the right body fat in control and what I need to get that do that. And that then remotivates. I've got a habit of talking to people, but more than one person in that specialized subject in what they actually do to get me think about what can I do to get myself motivated so I can reach my goals in terms of it. Whether it's in business or whether it's a personal life, it doesn't matter which one it is. I always use that same ability. But sometimes people do go into demotivated mode and they go into what I used to go the teacher's position. And they start worrying about what they're talking about, what they're doing in their head, and they get into their own mind. And they then, what before you know it, they've lost 3 or 4 days in what they were supposed to be doing. And then they come out of that thinking, well, why did I do that in the first place? If you
Mm,
go out there talking with other people in their specialized subject, maybe it gives you a better idea what you need to change within your personal lifestyle or your personal life or your personal business to get you back to being motivated again. That's what I would recommend to people.
nice. I would probably add to that, and I'll say the the aspect of being kind to yourself is also really important because it's very easy to beat ourselves up because we're not doing what we have been sort of building up over the last few weeks. You have to remember that life isn't perfect. Life is not always the same. Yes, we may have similar days, similar weeks, but they're not exactly the same. And it's really about just saying, right, okay, well, actually, how can I be kind to myself in this period where I'm not 100% focused, 100% motivated on the goals? And I think what you've hit on is actually changing it up a little bit because I know something that I do when I do my gym routines because I'm someone that doesn't like doing the same thing over and over again. What I mean by that is I'll go to the gym consistently, but I don't like doing the same exercises for the same sets for the same reps because my body just gets used to it. I don't feel that I'm making progress. That can easily demotivate myself. So I always have this thing whereby every 4 weeks I shift things up. So I have a specific focus. So for example, I might do like 4 weeks of just pure strength training. But within those 4 weeks, I'll change it every week. So I'll change the reps, the sets, the weight, just something which allows me to build and feels like, oh, this is new every single week. The exercises might be exactly the same. They're exercises I've done for years and years, so I know them like the back of my hand. But it's that continuous change in stimulus with a specific focus. And when I get to about the end of that 4 week period, I'm normally like, right, okay, well, I'm done with this. Let's move on to supersets. Let's move on to hypertrophy. Let's move on to peripheral heart action workouts for more cardiovascular type workouts. I'm still using weights all through this, and I'm still doing the same exercises, but just that change in the emphasis of what I'm actually trying to achieve in that week. Because I'm not someone who wants to look big. I'm not someone who wants to be like less than 10% body fat. It's just not me because my motivation for doing it is around my son. And more importantly, get to a point where when I'm in my 70s, 80s, 90s, he's not having to make decisions for me. I can still make my own decisions. I can still do things that I do. Now, people don't quite get that because for me, that's 30, 40, 50 years down the line.
Yeah.
And it's that case of, well, how can you stay that motivated? It's because, well, actually, because it's something bigger than me. It's not about me. This is about making sure I look after myself now so that my future self can look after myself and not being sort of, because one of my biggest fears would be to end up in a care home, not being able to do anything.
Yeah,
That'd be one
yeah,
of my
yeah,
biggest fears. I want if I'm going to go out in this world, I'm going out standing.
yeah.
being able to make
You
my own
go,
decisions.
you're going out on your own terms.
Yeah, I would, I just, and that fear, and we talk about emotions, that's a big enough driver for me.
I tell you something, that's the biggest motivator. That's the biggest motivator of all. Your own emotions in terms of that, and how you want to proceed yourself. You also think at the back of your mind, you don't want your family looking after you when you get old and frail. You want to be there still to support them in what they're actually doing, so they
Yeah.
remember you in what you do.
But there's also another aspect to this, and that is when my son is old enough, and however many more children that I end up having. So when they about 16, 17, 18, and they want to get into fitness, I still want to be beating them in the deadlift, squats, bench, all that kind of stuff. I still feel that no, I'm gonna, but it comes down to quite simple things. I can put the work in now, and whatever be will be. I'm not going to be the strongest, fittest, leanest thing in maybe 30, 40 years time. But if I do nothing, I definitely will become that. If I do
Yeah.
something, I give myself a fighting chance of a much healthier and happier life going into my older age. But there is
So,
that sense of competition in me, which is like, no, no, do you know what? I want to be 60, 70 and still being able to out bench press my
yeah,
children and all that kind of stuff. And one day they will actually, go beyond what I can do. But it's one of those things. I had a really good phrase. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now.
yeah.
And for those of you that are really struggling with motivation, is think about what you can do now that your future self will be proud of for doing, how that impacts your life. Because it's very easy to go, do you know what? Oh, that's too far away. I'm not going to be caring about that. The problem is a year can go by very quickly. A decade can go by very quickly. And you're looking back and go, wow, what have I actually done? What could
Very,
I have done had I been sort of like really focused on what I really wanted
very,
and
very
put
true.
that emotion into it, put that time into it, that dedication, because you can easily have an old age life of regrets.
That's very, very true. I think that's what it's all about, really, in terms of it's thinking about the future and what you're doing now. It's highly impact you in the future. You've got to be motivated and ready for that. It's the here and now that will actually get you self motivated for the here and for the now and then in the future in terms of it. And I think that's the biggest motivator of all. Achieving those goals and accomplishing them that you set at the beginning of the year, you'll feel a lot more better, a lot more healthy in yourself in terms of what you're doing to actually reach those goals itself.
Awesome. And I think for the listeners, the viewers, question for you. If you really thought about it, how could you motivate yourself better? What do you need to motivate you in order to start achieving what you know you can achieve? Now, obviously, in the last episode, we talked about goal setting, we talked about motivation. In this episode, the next episode, I think is really important. And I think it's something both Pamjit and I really agree on. And that is personalization, because there are so many people out there who just want to give generic plans and advice and expect everyone to be able to achieve it. But we're going to be talking about personalization, how we in our own businesses would sit down with someone and go, right, we're going to create a truly personalized plan. So make sure you do tune in. And thank you for taking the time to watch or listen, depending on what you're doing. And we look forward to you being with us on the next episode.
Take care and have a great day.